Yo, so I'm going to talk about um, for anybody who's not familiar with how incarceration works. How that works is that you're first thrown into jail, right? Whatever somebody says about you, they'll throw you inside of jail, and then after you're thrown inside of jail, they have to create what's called mens rea. They have to create something that shows a motive of why you did that act, right? And that's how the mass incarceration has been happening, is that they've been attaching erroneous profiles, just basic ass cliche profiles to everyone so they can be like, oh, these guys are criminals. So in my case, that's what happened, right? In my case, they took um, a really tragic story, and then they fucking ran with it. They ran with it, and then they just created out of it um, bullshit that fitted their aspirations. So that's why I eventually walked out. It's because I was telling the truth. There wasn't much to that. There was no thinking in that. You get what I'm saying? I didn't have to remember shit. I just like, no, wait, hold up. This is all bullshit. So, and that's what I'm talking about with the profiles. And when I figured out what the profiles were, it was just a crazy ass profile. Do you get what I'm saying? It was just absolutely wrong. And I had everything to prove otherwise. Do you get what I'm saying? I had everybody in my defense, but that was omitted. And what omitted means is that they just don't include it. There's different things inside of the law that I learned, right? Like exculpatory evidence, right? Bad faith, things like that. So exculpatory evidence is pretty much evidence that shows a person's innocent. And in my case, there is nothing but exculpatory evidence, nothing but that. But they had to make that all go away, so they omitted it. So, in the purpose of omitting that is so you can actually add a profile on top of it that's crazier, so it can fit your narrative, right? And with me, I mean, I'm a straight up individual. I don't hide anything. I've never been that type of individual. Um, I just don't. Do you get what I'm saying? If it's relevant, I'll speak about it. If it's true, I'm gonna speak about it. If I had nothing to do with it, then I'm not talking about it. You get what I'm saying? So, um, yeah, that's what's been going on with me. And then with my whole like my accounts being hacked and all of that, I mean, it's possible that's happened since prison. Do you get what I'm saying? Because when I was in prison, I mean, I got a phone. I mean, I was a law clerk, lead law clerk, and all of that shit. And you can get your hands on whatever you want in there. So, like, freaking with me, I wanted to get a phone so I can get out. Do you understand? And start talking about what the fuck was happening. Then that got suppressed. So, it's possible that it started happening there. Um, and so now what's going on is that you can kind of get a feel for something. I mean, when you're inside of prison, you learn how to survive because of that. Do you understand? And not even just prison, but just everywhere I come from, like you really do learn your sixth sense, so to speak. And the fact that I'm Christian on top of that just enhances all of that. So that's literally what I've been dealing with. Um, and I continue to deal with it. You know what I mean? And it's, oh, let's make this guy this, that. Man, I ain't shit. Like for real. Like I am what I am. I'm not involved with no kind of crazy shit whatsoever. Period. Do you get what I mean? Everybody I know I've met through some type of organization that is just an outreach organization. I'm not involved in anything shady. I haven't ever been involved in anything shady just because I stay out of it because I can't really contribute to that because it doesn't match my faith. So yeah, that's really it. Do you understand? That's really it. And so yeah. So in my case, it was literally, it highlights everything that was corrupt with the system because that's exactly what happened to me. They utilized every single tactic to put me in a corner where it would be like, okay, well now you just got to deal with it. But I was like, fuck you, man. I didn't do shit. Do you get what I'm saying? So like that's where all of this comes from. So it's important to speak about this for me, especially when I start seeing more shit formulate where it's just like, well, let's try to throw this person back into another profile. It's like, yo, I already, hell nah. You know what I mean? Um, so as far as what I do now in my life, I mean, I record. You understand? Or well, I haven't been recording lately, but I'm writing music. I'm staying focused and I'm trying to program and just be the real examples. You know what I'm saying? Um, everybody that comes from poverty, well, are solid, straight up. Like, granted, like people go through their shit, but it's no difference from somebody coming from privilege that honestly hasn't learned the error of their ways. Do you get what I'm saying? So my whole thing is it's like, all right, if somebody's coming from poverty, how come you give them, all right, and somebody comes from privilege, how come people from privilege don't get the same type of treatment that people from poverty do. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, and it's backwards, man. So that's why I speak on. I speak on all of that. So yeah.